Happy New Year! This is John Chen with the first inaugural episode of The Engagement Show. What is The Engagement Show? Well, me and this amazing guest who's going to come up here, he's going to be the guest. He's going to be the co-host throughout here. He's coming in from Canada. We're just going to talk about the state of engagement as we go through the year because, what we've said is the landscape is changing so fast that this is the only way that we felt like we could keep up. Speaking of trying to keep up, here's my best story of the year. So it's December 17th, and I'm about to leave on this family vacation. And I have one program left to produce. My computer's starting to act funny. So what do? I reboot it. And what happens? This. That's right. The blue screen. I have 14 minutes before my next program starts, and I have to sit around and decide what am I going to do now that my main computer has just blue screened. So think about what you would do. But again, 14 minutes, this is where all of my work ever comes into place. Number one, stay calm. Number two, think of all the options. And then number three, decide on a course of action and try it. And luckily, I'd bought a brand new computer on Black Friday. So I'd been in another room, partially setting up that computer. And I'm like, hot swap the whole computer. So I unplug everything on my main setup, drop in this big new container, this new PC, plug everything in. And in 14 minutes, I got it working. So thank you very much. That's where the sign of a professional is really coming in, is thinking on your feet and doing great stuff. Speaking of thinking on your feet and doing great stuff, let me introduce you to my co-host, the one and only Roger Haskett. What's up, Roger?
Got some music.
And
love it. Hey, John.
I won't get killed on this live stream, right? For having royalty-based music. Roger, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy 2023. Let's hope this is an amazing year for all of us. Everyone in the event industry is looking forward to a year where we can go, wow, this has just been an amazingly good year without any of the challenges that we've been dealing with for the last 3 years.
We kind of need a break on the challenges. Like, actually, you know what? I was actually showing you in the pre-show, right? This is my current challenge, which is I'm packing for a hybrid that is tonight, which is really cool, right? Black entrepreneurs who will be pitching their companies for the very first time. And I was packing up all the equipment, and yesterday just turned into one of those days. I screwed this mic stand, and the top of the micro stand came crashing down and crushed my finger. Like, what's underneath this Band-Aid is not pretty. And you know how it cascades from like that? Like all of 2020 and 21 is kind of like that cascading from one event, right?
Yeah. So the crushed finger leads to other complications, leads to other problems. Yeah, it's one of the things we do this every year. We have about 3 times in the year where everything, all of our like sort of challenges, all of our problems sort of all coalesce around this one time, this one event. Like last year in March, on like March 9th, it was like a Wednesday, I had 3 virtual bookings at exactly 9:10 in the morning. So like, it was like, like a week beforehand, I, was open. A week after, I'm open. But exactly at 9:10, I was supposed to be in 3 different virtual meetings. Why do things like that happen? I don't know, but they do. And they constantly every year we have things like that happen.
Well, speaking of the year too, Roger and I just said we wanted to first look back at 2022 and say, what was the state of engagement? And then, of course, we'll take a little part of the show and talk about what do we think we're going to predict at 2023. And Roger, now that we're putting this on live stream too, we're going to have to go back like at the end of the year, rewatch part of the show and pretty much laugh at which of these predictions that we got wrong. But first, let's have you talk about what 2022, what changed for you and what was great for you in 2022?
Well, so 2022 was the year that we sort of both bought, like my company Engagement Unlimited bottomed out and sprang back. So 2022, we had held on through 2020. We had held on through 2021. We like expanded into virtual. We had done all sorts of virtual stuff, but still, like my live performers were languishing. Our any live performance was like, what? We haven't done that for 2.5 years. And then the end of the year happened, and we had an explosion of live performances. So 2022 was like the year that we were like sort of both hanging on and then finally lifting over the like the biggest challenge, which was only able to do virtual. I love virtual, man. If I could do 80% of I know, John, you feel the same way. If I could do 80% of my work virtually, I would do it. Like, my commute is 13 stairs, I know that in 2021, in 3 days, I had done like a talk all through North America. I had done a talk all through British Columbia, and I had done a talk all through Canada, and all of them in 3 days from my office. You can't beat that sort of stuff, right?
No, I don't think so. What it reminded me of, kind of like, those videos of, like, remember the old school picture of the cat hanging on?
Oh, right? Totally. Hang in there.
And now there's all these new videos of like cats like springing over, crazy like gigantic fences. It's a little bit like that. Yeah, I'm really on the virtual side too. And if we're, that's the hard part. Of course, being a business owner, it's like your dream meeting the world's pocketbook. And for a while, everybody's pocketbook is like, of course I got to pay for virtual. And now it's kind of like, nah, you got to go. You got to drive and fly. And so here's what my 2022 looked like. It started down 10%. Kind of by the summer, and I was kind of like, is this going to be not a good, because like, is that virtual going to completely evaporate? And I'm ready for that. I said I was going to run virtual until it's no longer viable. And obviously I have an in-person business that I was able to get work before the pandemic. So I have choices. But I prefer this. I really like this. I actually think it's better. It's better for me as a business. It's better for me as I getting older, right? Hitching. I got to move all this equipment for a hybrid tonight. That's part of this injury that I got. Is that it's a lot of physical work, whether you're like traveling or moving stuff or whatever. And here in my setup, it's like everything is in the right place and the right, it takes a lot of time to do that. So what did I see? And some of my friends who do virtual, they saw like 90 and 100% decrease. Like 100% decrease as a business owner is serious.
Yeah, that's like March 2020.
Yeah, going the other way. Yeah, zero.
Yeah.
Right? And so they lost all their virtual business, and they had to go back to in person. But I think what's just great for me to know is that my brand has been established, and virtual hasn't gone away. And I think that belief is still right.
Yeah.
It has decreased, but has not gone away.
It has decreased because we're human and we love to see people and we love to be in the same rooms as people. I mean, my company's Engagement Unlimited because it's all about how when you put energy into a room, when you put engagement into a room, magical things happen. And so we're extremely good. We have become in our lifetimes extremely good at working live engagement because that's what we've done for 30 years. And switching into virtual, like the thing that was really interesting about virtual is for me I found was this, that it elevated, being virtual elevated a skill set. Like if you were able to virtually engage with people, it puts you at the top 10% of live engagers because all these people are extremely good at being live, but not so many are good at being virtual. This is sort of sidetrack, but to bringing it back to what you were saying, virtual can't go away. There are just too many good reasons that virtual will exist, but it doesn't change the fact that we all have in our bodies this desire to bust out of the virtual world and get back into a world that you can, interact with people by, being in the same space with them. But that's got to also, once we solve that, like satiate that again,
yeah,
virtual and live will balance out. There will be a 20 80 60 40. There will be some split, and that split will be different depending on the industry that you're in, depending on the job that you're in. But because work from home, remote work is so prevalent now, virtual has to exist as well.
So one of the things that I saw too, then as I was talking about, as I got to summer, I kind of had a little bit of a worry point. And then so the rest of my year actually turned out. So I had 4 big live events that I went to, and they were all pretty high revenue events because I feel like too in person should elicit a premium
Yeah.
because now it's even harder. There's more risk, right? There's all sorts of other factors I think, and so I know meeting planners are having to deal with higher budgets, and on our other side, it's like we're taking higher risks. Like we could just be doing this virtual and doing 5 of them in a row, or we could be fly and go to your program. So there's some real economics I think that are going on there. So anyways, I ended the year and it turned out I actually made more net profit than I did last year, and that to me is like the greatest win for 2022 is around there. And I guess that leads us to outlook for 2023. Now that we're here, we just had New Year's. Things are changing. I'm actually running a new strategy too, which I'll share. But what's on your horizon for you, Roger Haskett, and Engagement Unlimited for 2023?
Sure. So 2023 is very exciting because what we're finding is that we started to really do live in November. So a little bit in October, but really in November, we started to really kick it live. And then we did a whole bunch of shows live in November and December. And the big change is this: we've had over a quarter, I'd say just over a quarter of our December clients have rebooked already for 2023 so that they don't lose their spot. And so what we're finding is that there is more of a feeding frenzy for 2023. And who knows how much that will push through the year. We don't know. There's still a pandemic out there. There still are other issues that are going on. But, it seems really good. It seems that we will have virtual clients who are still going to want some virtual hybrid. And certainly hybrid is rising up in desire. But we are going to be doing certainly lots of live, it seems. And that is glorious. It's a challenge as a business owner to be realizing that we're still in a pandemic and we're doing live performances. But this is the world that we seem to be in now. And the world has moved on to this. And on one level, at least, it's wonderful to have work. It's wonderful to have people knocking on your door and saying, and it's wonderful to be going hey, we've got 3 bookings that night. I'm sorry, can we book you another night? So John, I see you smiling and nodding, right? Yeah, it's nice to have some money, have some clients who are saying, we want to give you money to do the things that you do so well.
Okay, this was given to me by a magician, right? You ready for magic, right?
Yes.
We want dollars, right? But we want them to somehow be balanced.
Oh, nice.
Right?
Nice.
But we still love our almighty dollar, and your Canadian dollar looks way better than ours. Here's my 2023 is that I love this virtual model, going to continue with it. I'm really looking to expand the company. And so now what I'm doing, I'm selecting some of my top producers and I want to give them work, right? And so as a business owner, I've been doing a lot of the producing myself, and that's helped me because I've refined a series, I think, of techniques and practices that almost nobody like. This whole crazy setup. When's the last time you saw a live stream look like this, Roger?
I know. And I mean, just to blow your horn, John, you're really impressive at being able to pull together a virtual experience that is engaging both for the people that are there, but also for the technology that you've got supporting you. And John, you've always been extremely impressive in that way. I work with John and I'll say things like, I have this sort of idea, or I've been thinking about this thing, and John will be like, oh, I've just done it. Literally, oh, it's 2 days later and I've done it. It's very impressive. It's truly impressive. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Roger. So one of the pieces that goes on here too is that, so I'm looking to expand the business, which is I'm going to give some of the best business to some of my other producers, right? I'm going to coach them to make sure that we keep the quality that we have. And then you can really impact more, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know that you have something like a dozen MC, speaker, facilitator, engagement experts. And that's, I'm sure you, as a business, how you figured out how to do more, make more impact. And developing those people though, it takes a unique person to do that. But that's what really the model is. And then I'm going to spend more of my time, again, selling and then growing the business by coaching some of these people and getting some of these other producers that I have. Their skills are really amazing. All I'm going to do is take them to this other notch where we can do things like this and charge more for clients to create engagement. Jan Keck posted a great post, and he just says, in 2023, you got to do more to get engagement, right? Because now people have seen stuff, and so now you can't just turn on your Zoom window and expect people to be fully engaged with the program. Either you got to do this, which is really advanced technical tricks, or you got to do really, really advanced engagement techniques.
Yeah.
And so
Which to
those are the
me,
things I see.
which is amazing. And like, from my point of view, push that trend as far as possible, because the people who are good at engagement are going to ride that wave. And engagement is the secret sauce. Like when you look at every survey that keeps coming out where they say, what is the most important thing for the success of your event? And it's always engagement. It's like engagement is, and it doesn't matter for events. It matters for corporations. It matters for teams. It matters for families. It matters for communities. Engagement is the value, is the way that you measure how successful your outreach has been, your ability to reach into people and help them either become the people that they want to be or help them create the world that they want to create. Engagement is the way. And so the more that we push engagement, the better it is, I believe, because it pushes people more and more towards companies like ours, who have really cracked the engagement nut and who have really figured out how in an unending variety of situations to create engagement that resonates in that specific moment for that specific group for that specific reason.
Well, I'd love to hear from you as the engagement expert, a wish and a tip. What's your wish for 2023? And for our people listening, what's an engagement tip they should be thinking about?
Sure. So like, I guess a wish would be that I just wish that we all had more engagement in our life. Let me rephrase that actually. I wish that we all had more of our purposeful engagement, the engagement that we want, because while engagement is super important, disengagement is massively important too. Like you can't be engaged everywhere. You got to make choices about where you're actually going to put your active participatory energy.
Yeah.
And so I wish that we all had more control. Let me tell you a quick story. So let me tell you, I know this is what I do. So anyway, my daughter is, like now she's 8, but ever since she was like 2, 3, 4, 5, her favorite game has been cat or dog. She loves to pretend. And so I will come home from work, either coming down the stairs or coming in the door, and she'll throw herself at my legs and she'll say, Daddy, please, let's play cat. And depending on where I am at that moment in the day will depend on how I respond. And so either I will respond by, often what I'll do is I'll go, yeah, sure, let's play cat. And I'll pick up my phone, and I'll go, I'll be doing this. I'll go, meow, meow, meow. And I'll be like doing this. And she'll go after 10 seconds, because she's smart and she lives in a family that talks about engagement all the time. She'll go, Daddy, no, you said you were going to play with me. You said you were going to play with me. And so engagement is really like where you actively participate. And so at that moment, I get to choose. Do I continue putting my active participation into my phone, which is where we often put our energies, or do I put my phone away? Do I disengage from my phone so that I can engage with her? And so when I do that, I put my phone away and I go, meow, look, meow, meow, let's play. And we play cat for 20 seconds, a minute, 2.5 minutes. It's amazing how little time you actually need to give if you're fully engaged.
That's a great tip.
So little bit of time, if you're fully engaged, makes huge amounts of impact. Huge. This is why I talk about engagement, because a little bit of energy creates this massive, atomic explosion of value. Okay, and so the tip would be the tip. The tip would be monitor your engagement. Like literally stop every once in a while and think, where's my actual engagement going? Because often you will be absolutely wrong in where you think your engagement is. You will be like, oh, I'm engaged with my family, but the truth is you're engaged on your phone, or you're engaged in your head, thinking about things that, aren't present. So the engagement trick is, if you're going to be present, be fully present. Engage with the present that's around you and wait to be thinking about other things until it's time to be thinking about those.
I think you'll love this, right? I have this new belief, and it says the first 5 minutes of a virtual meeting are the most important. And I think the corollary for this is the first 5 seconds of engagement are the most important, because it's that shifting of from you to something else to that person. That's when they realize, like, I got you, right? I'm with you. You're fully engaging with me with that. Speaking of which, too, you have a story about disengagement you shared.
Okay. Let me tell you about
You can
this.
share that. I can transition to my story.
Okay. So, I get paid to get on stage and often just tell stories from, things that I know, or things that from my life. And, I'm not a stand-up comedian at all, although I think lots about becoming a stand-up comedian. But I often think about, well, here's my little, here's my story, or here's my routine, and here's my bit that I'm going to be doing that's going to make sure to get people laugh, etc. So I realized that there was a story that I hadn't told my family. I've got an 18-year-old and an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I went and a spouse, a wife. And I was like, hey, I haven't told you guys this story yet. Let me tell you this story. And when I'm on stage and when I do that, what I'm used to is people going, okay, Roger, tell us another story, because your stories are pretty funny and often really interesting. And so I say, hey, I'm going to tell you a story. And my 3 kids literally do this. They go like this. All 3 of them go, they're like, one of them gets up and leaves the table. And I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, oh, I'm going to go get something to eat. And my daughter, who's the youngest, who should be the most interested, is looking at me like, she's got this face on. She's like, do we really have to listen? And I'm like, okay, so there's disengagement. Other people who, guests around that table, would be like, yes, Roger, tell us this story. We know it's going to be funny. My family is like, la, please don't tell us anything.
Well, I love sharing that story because I'm a parent of 3 kids, and I know exactly how that is. Although I've got the reciprocal story, because my kids kind of checked out of a thing. It was like, oh, geez, that's that parent thing you got to do. And so we have this tradition in our family called everybody's birthday dinner. So we all come to San Francisco, and in return, my dad puts us on this amazing meal. You saw the video earlier on, Roger. I've been posting it on social media. We went to a 3 Michelin star restaurant. I mean, there's only 142 restaurants in the world that have this designation out of literally thousands and thousands and thousands of restaurants. And so it's something pretty special. And for the first time, one of my oldest son returned back to the meeting, right, to the dinner. And I said, that's kind of this part where, as a parent, sometimes you just really need to be patient, right? And let them do their thing. And then one day, if they see the value in it, they come back themselves. And that's actually the real truth. Because I could have forced them to go to this meeting, right? I could have forced them to go to this dinner. And they're not really engaged with it. Because then they're going, do I have to eat this food, even though it's the best in the world, right? It's just, it's like that. But here, I'm going to show a little clip of the video. This is everybody's birthday dinner. Let's see if I can get my video to play. There we go. So, and I'll show you my son here in just a moment. But we had a great time. This is a great family tradition. This is my son. There we go, right in the middle, and over here on the left-hand side. And he returned to this dinner, and it was just spectacular in that way. It was just really heartwarming to see him come back and interact. And now he's different, right? He's older, he's married, he owns a house and all these other types of things. And it was just, again, that was kind of one of my highlights in the season that we have here.
Well, I just got to say about that, there's 2 things. First of all, to have your child come back willingly and be part of family traditions is one of the most heartwarming and wonderful things that any parent can experience. So hats off, tip the hat to you for getting that in your life, because that's pretty wonderful. And secondly, I just got to laugh at the fact that that I'm not the only person who substitutes meeting in place of other words that are more appropriate. We had a family dinner, I'm saying to everyone, hey, come on down to the meeting. Isn't it dinner, Dad? Oh, yeah, sorry, come on down to dinner.
F and B, right? Your kids probably know the letters F and B more than they know dinner. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's see. I'll have a wish and a tip, and then I think we're ready to cruise along off of this first episode of the Engagement Show. By the way, if you love this show, give us a comment. If you have a question you want to ask us on the show, hit the comment. We'll use your question in the next show, or worse off, we'll bring you in here and we'll actually talk to you because we're looking to do that. Let's see. My wish for 2023. You know, as every business owner, that's my next goal. Is like, how can we have more impact? Right. Eventually, like Roger and I are gonna start thinking about legacy. Like, what are we gonna leave in this world? Right. When we're done with this place. And rest in peace to Ken Block, who is one of my favorite. He is the guy who is the drifter. He ran cars, did specific sports driving, and was the creator of the Gymkhana series, which is where they drove in major cities, drifting around all different places. He passed away at 55. That's basically how old I am now, Roger. And so you never know when our time is done. So again, we're looking to have more impact. That's my wish. And what's my one tip? I'll give you my one tip. Number one, there's great ways to make your virtual meeting better that require no tech. And my other tip I'm going to give you is I think I've discovered the corollary, which is people are going to be interested in more engagement through tech like this if it doesn't have any impact on them. Like right now, all you got to do is watch this show and use chat, but you're getting a different experience. So I think that's what I'm going to look at in 2023 is how can I push the tech for virtual meetings and do it in such a way so that it doesn't have any impact on you. You don't have to log into a new service. You don't have to you don't have to learn something new, right? All you have to do is show up and use the tools that you are already familiar with, but you get a new level of engagement. That's one of my best tips that I could give to this year. Final words, Roger.
Well, I love it. I'm so glad that you explained what you meant by impact, because I was like, well, we want technology to have an impact, but what you mean is that there's no requirement for people to learn more, to do more. Instead, it's all going to be there for them. Yeah, well, I'll write on your impact comment. So one of my talks is The Age of Engage, how to create engagement. And in that, I talk about impact is one of the massively powerful ways to pull engagement into the room. The moment that you show people that they're actually doing something that impacts the world, that impacts other people, that impacts their job, they get engaged. They get far more engaged. And so I wish for the world, like I will, we all would wish to have more impact, and that we would see the impact that we have on others more. And I'll end on this. It's basically, it's a wonderful life. This is the idea of impact, right? Like he's about to throw himself off a bridge because he believes that he's a failure. And the whole movie, it gives me chills. The whole movie is about how much impact he made in other people's lives that he never saw. This I would wish on everyone, that everyone has their own it's a wonderful life moment multiple times in a year where you can see how you are actually impacting and making other people's lives and the world a better place.
Well, Kristen Rourke just made an impact on our lives. She liked and shared our stream, Roger. So shout out to Kristen. By the way, hopefully you'll come on and either be our first guest or be our first question. Roger, love the wonderful live comment. We'll leave you with that. Think about what impact that you left last year, and most importantly, what do you need to do different to create an even bigger impact in 2023?
That's great. So why don't we put this as our topic for next talk show, that we can maybe talk a little bit about some of the impact that our companies or that we've had that have made us most proud.
Bring your stories, Roger. Bring your stories, and I promise I won't eye roll much. I'm going to take lessons from your kids, because I think I might actually meet your kids here in the next coming weeks. But
that's right. You're going to be over here for dinner and to stay over. That'll be awesome.
So anyways, this is Roger Haskett and myself, John Chen. We're here on the Engagement Show. We'll be coming every so often here online, and we hope to see you next time. We'll see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone.